Hello, Vol Nation. Welcome to another episode of Believe in Tennessee Football. I'm your host, as always, Kyler Curbison, joined with Reed Bacon. We have a great episode today. There's not a ton of Tennessee news going on, so we answer some of y'all's questions. Some of the stuff you've left in the comment section on YouTube, we get to answer them and go down memory lane a little bit, a little off tangent. You know how Reed is. But it's a very fun podcast. Can't wait to get into it. So let's start it up.
The game. Snap. The kick is in the air, and the kick this time is no, sir, Reed. No, sir, Reed. Final score: Tennessee 20, Florida 17. Pandemonium reigns.
Loads up, fires long for the end zone. The pass is going to be caught. Tennessee wins! By Tennessee to one Jennings. Jennings makes the catch in the end zone on the Hail Mary.
Down at the 35, to the 40, to the 45, to the 50, to the 45, to the 40, to the 35, 30, 25, 20, 15, 10, 5. What did he do? All he did was score. Joey Pence, touchdown on play number 1.
All right, so before we get into the podcast, we got to shout out our number one sponsor, betonline.ag. You guys know I say it every podcast. It is the place to go for all your betting news and odds and sports, everything. This is the place, okay? With BetOnline, you get the most up-to-date fighting news. You get to bet on MLB games going on right now, NFL. I mean, you can bet on anything, team total wins, division wins, individual players, all of it, okay? So now is the time to sign up. At BetOnline, you can sign up on your mobile device, or you can go online, get a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use the promo code BELIEVE at checkout. That's BLEAV. And you get that 50% welcome bonus. So listen, y'all, please use that. Please go to BetOnline when you're doing all your sports betting. It makes things a lot more fun and a lot more interesting. And I always love them. They're the place to go. BetOnline. It's where the game starts. All right. Welcome in, everybody. Another exciting podcast for you. I have to apologize to start for last week's video on YouTube. For those who watch on YouTube, it was not loading the HD version of it, which is used on mobile devices. So if you pull it up on your computer, your desktop, you could probably watch it, but not on mobile devices. So not sure what was happening there, but it's fine now. So if you want to go back and watch, you very much can. But I appreciate you guys being very patient with me. You know, I'm a dumb jock, so I'm just trying to figure all this stuff out. But before we get into the full episode, as always, Reed, how we doing, bud?
Yeah, hello. What's up, big boy? Doing well. Just good weekend. Played a little golf. Played really, really well Friday night. Just played 9 after work. Played horrendous on Saturday. So, that's how it goes. Yeah, Sunday.
So I just learned this today off listening to something. Do you know, like, your handicap is ranked off your best score the past 20 times you've played? You know, that's what it is.
Where'd you hear that?
I heard that on Barstool. It was like it was those Barstool guys that follow golf and do all the PGA stuff. Jesus Christ, man, you look sketchy.
Right.
You had a ranch all over your mouth, bro.
I got it. No, you're the combination. I think they don't take your lowest or they don't take your worst, but it's not just one round. That's crazy. I could go out and
Well, that's what they say. It's like your handicap is like you playing your best. This is what you you playing your best would score an 80. So you have an 8 handicap. You know what I mean? But you could easily go out there and score 100 if you had a bad day.
It's not just off one. I know that handicaps don't take necessarily your worst, but it's definitely not based on just one round. But no, I don't think that's right.
Okay, whatever, Reed.
Well, I'll look it up and bring it since you think Barstool's the greatest of everything. But
I didn't think that. I was just like, I heard this today.
I'll look into it, but no, that's not correct.
You let me know in your research.
Anyway,
I did not play golf this weekend. I actually went to a Chicks concert.
Oh, great.
There's Annie, the old favorite.
Hey, no, stop barking.
This is gonna be one for the books.
I wasn't even finished talking about my weekend before you. I wasn't even finished. Hey, enough! No, here, come get her. No.
I love this. I'm gonna have to turn down your volume in editing.
It's all right. So, anyways, I wouldn't finish talking about my weekend. I said I had a great mass service on Sunday. Came home, watched the Open Championship, which I haven't bet in a long time. Matter of fact, you can't bet in Florida. So when I was down in Naples, I didn't bet. Plus, the last thing I had bet on was a futures bet for the Celtics to win the championship, and I bet on that like second round like when they beat, I think, the Nets. I went ahead and threw futures on them, so I had some action, but I hadn't placed anything else. But yesterday,
and he did it on betonline.ag.
But anyways, I didn't even get to finish. I was going to say I did it on betonline.ag. But anyways, so I said, you know what? I said, I like Rory. And he's like, I like a bunch of different golfers, but I was like, I wouldn't mind to see him win.
No, yeah.
I said, but I, for some reason, when it comes to gambling, I was like, I just don't feel it. Like, I don't know why, but I waited till like a few holes in. And once Cameron Smith started heating up, I was like, looking at my dad, I was like, this is not the guy with his putter that you want on your heels. I was like, if he catches fire, he's one of those guys that like, he's kind of just like a machine. Like, you know, like Patrick Cantlay had a couple of times like that. Scotty Scheffler had a couple of times like that recently. And there's been tons of golfers over history. I'm just saying recently. I mean, obviously Tiger, you know, or Jack or whoever else, when they get in the zone, like it's just unstoppable. Rory's had those times, but yeah, you know, but I told my dad, I said, speaking just of putting, I said, it's like when I'm watching Steph Curry play basketball, I'm more surprised when he misses than his makes. And so it's the same thing with two golfers for me was Cameron Smith this time and at the Players earlier this year. One just like putting wise, it was just like, oh my gosh. And then Jordan Spieth back in like 14 and 15. Every time Spieth was in his heyday before he started having the yips and kind of struggling, like anytime he stepped over a putt, I was like, it's going in. And it was like, and it was always clutch too. It was always super clutch putt. So,
well, dude, Cameron on that back nine, I mean, if it was in 50 feet, he was making it. Like, it was ridiculous, the putts that he was making. And it, like, I don't want to like shit on Rory, but dude, he just not like, you can't just make one birdie in the back nine.
I know, like, I agree with that. But that's just how golf is. I mean,
I know.
I went out Friday night after work, a little bit tired, didn't warm up or anything, and I go out there, have two birdies. I mean, I'm lucky if I have two birdies in 18 holes. I had two birdies, you know, in 9, and I ended up shooting like a 38, and that's with a double on number 8. We played the back. We only played 9, but we played the back, and I had a double on 18, and it wasn't, I wasn't like, my butthole wasn't tight. I wasn't freaking out by my score. I didn't even know what my score was. Yeah. I was just out there kind of vibing. We played, it was my dad and one of our neighbors, and we're just having a good time. And my drive was pretty good. Second shot wasn't great, but then I pulled my third one and I put myself on the, if anyone's played at Holston Hills, like I put myself on the left back side of the green and you just don't want to be there. And so I ended up doubling and still shot 38. And so I wasn't like, ooh, I can't wait to play tomorrow. I'm going to play great, because I don't get like that anymore. Like younger Reed was like that. And if I'd go out there and within 4 holes, if I wasn't playing well, I was like, okay, it's just like, I'm done. But I go out the next day, less than 24 hours, and I feel totally different. So it's a crazy thing.
Yeah, I mean, golf always gets me like that. I mean, I would say the one time I want to play the most is after watching tournaments on TV. It's just like after the Masters, I'm like dying to get on any golf, like anywhere. Please just let me play.
The Masters is also too, because it's the first one of the year. So you're like ready to get into it. But it was funny because my dad did go play yesterday at 3:00. And I was like, I don't know why. I was like, I called you. We were talking about doing the pod. You were like half asleep. I was like, dude, I'm just out of it. Like, I just want to go like rest and lay down. So I went and swam in the pool with Annie and just hung out with her for a little bit and then went and laid down. I was like, I didn't even feel like playing yesterday. So I was out of it.
Yeah. But yeah, my weekend, I went to the Chicks concert, which was previous Dixie Chicks, now the Chicks, down in Atlanta. My wife and her family, she's very close with her mom and sister, and they grew up on that. And I mean, they do have very fire songs. Like, you can't say that like Landslide isn't a good song, or Cowboy Take Me Away. Like, they're actually very good country songs, and I enjoy country music. So I was like, okay, sure, let's do it, And I actually had a very, very good time. They put on a very good concert. It was an amphitheater, which is always really cool, like outside concerts.
How many people were there?
Oh, dude, it was packed. I mean, as many people as could fit in that amphitheater, I would say 10, 15, like 10,000.
So Chicks are still doing some slight numbers even nowadays?
Oh, yeah. Well, they just came out with a new album, so that's why they're doing this tour. But they're, all of their old songs are in it. So,
did Darren, your brother-in-law, go?
No, he had to stay back and watch the dog, so he wasn't able to go. But it was so funny. This is hilarious. There was a guitar player in the band that was like a young kid, like probably 21, 22. And he had, like the TikTok haircut with like the little wavy kind of hair flowing back.
Oh, like almost like the Jack Harlow.
Oh yeah. But it was wavy. It wasn't curly. He just looked so like he was attractive, like cool looking dude, was just like ripping at the guitar in the back, young guy. And I was like, bro, he just cleans up.
What do you mean cleans up?
I mean, this guy gets whoever he wants. Like, any girl that walks up to him, he can get their number. Like, guaranteed. He's like cool. He plays guitar. He's part of a band, the Chicks, and he's a good looking dude. He's young. And then you get like 75% into the show, and what's her name? The lead singer is like, introducing everybody. And then she's like, and my son is also here playing with us. Slade. His name is Slade. And she just pans over to him, and the crowd erupts. It's 90% women there. They erupt.
They
like,
love yeah, we love you, Slade.
Yeah. Yeah, Slade, I love you. I was like, are you kidding me? This guy's name is Slade? Like, that's the ultimate.
Is it Slade or Slade?
Slade, Slade. I was like, this is like, this guy is like set up to be this person. Like, that's who he is. Like, his name is who he is.
Can you go ahead and elaborate for us individuals on what you mean by clean up?
I think everyone can get the gist.
Yeah. I was just mad when I found out you went, because I was like, dude, if it was a girls trip, you could have stayed in Nashville or come here, and we could have hung out and, had some guy time.
Yeah. I mean, Yes, but it wasn't just a girls' trip. There was like also my mother-in-law's friends that she's had for a very long time that they also listen to Dixie Chicks, and it was a family gathering. So I was like, I will definitely go. I want to hang out with, the wife, make her happy.
I like when you make me happy.
That's right. This hour a week I deal with you. It's pretty important. I need to keep you happy.
All right. So anyways, folks, as you guys see, we're just talking right now. We are talking questions. We're going to do just a whole pod on answering questions. We haven't had really any other recruiting news. And it's SEC Media Week, but Coach Hype and the boys haven't talked yet, so we might cover that next week. So we're just going to answer a bunch of things.
Yeah. Plus, I mean, dude, let me tell you something. How many like legit answers are you going to get? Like, who cares? No one's telling the full truth of any of these things. You can't. You're not allowed to. You'd literally be a detriment to you and your team if you told the full truth of any of the questions. So that's why it's like very much, like if we have guys on this podcast, I'd rather ask them what's their favorite place to eat and what would you do in this blocking scheme, or, why would you run this route this way? What's your technique here? Because they're going to answer that truthfully. I'm not going to ask them, hey, who do you like at quarterback better? Or who's the best offensive lineman on the team, or who's the best, this guy. It's like, you can't, those kind of questions are just, nah.
Well, yeah. And if you ask who the best on the team is, everyone just says themselves, which I get that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
or Reed Bacon.
I have to start this off. So Ariel, hey,
you
Mom,
gotta lock her up, bro.
Karen, you gotta take her downstairs. Seriously. Like, enough's enough. Go give her some treats or something.
Are you trying to be professional here?
I hear Karen trying to go, come on, let's go downstairs. I got you. All right. So, Ariel, my lovely girlfriend, texted me and said, hey, I got a question for the pod. She goes, what's your favorite UT game ever? And she goes, the one with me, ? Okay, sounds good. I took her to the first one last year. That was her first UT game. That was her first, big time college football game. But I actually will answer that question, honestly. It's got to be my first game ever. And my first game ever, like I've said on this pod, was 1998 Florida. That was my first ever game. And,
it's a way to start.
I went with my dad. We were sitting in section B behind, up, we had some really, really good seats at the time, and they were right under the underhang. And all I remember is when they missed the kick and we're trying to leave and students were trying to get down to go to rush the field. And my dad was very scared because he has me. I was probably in third or fourth grade, and all these college kids are rushing, and he thinks he's about to get stampeded. So he's trying to yell and stop them. And they're a bunch of college kids, man. They're excited. They're just full out. So,
and they're hammered.
Yeah, exactly. So he got a whole group of them coming, and he hauls back and just clocks this guy and knocks him. I don't know if he knocked him out, but he knocked him to the ground. And he's like, stop. And then we set, it was 2 of our 5 season tickets. So the other 3 were on the other side. So we didn't have any the other family was on the other side of the field in V.
Yeah.
We sat at these seats all the time, and there was 2 older gentlemen that sat behind us. Great guys. Well, they were trying to stop, trying to let me get out. And they're like, hold up. So yeah, my dad reared back, caught this guy right in his jaw, and just took it. Like I said, I don't think he knocked him out, but took him to the ground. And the next thing he knows, he's yelling, stop. And they just keep running. He rears back to do it again. And the girl's like, no. He was about to hit a girl. And so that stopped it. And so we got out and were able to shimmy around. But I remember I remember my mom.
What a memorable day for you.
Oh yeah. I mean, it was my first UT game ever. We beat Florida. I remember the car ride home because my mom and grandfather rode over to pick us up, and I just remember being in the back of that car and hearing the radio and seeing the college kids carrying the goalposts down Nayland Drive because we live out east, and so we were driving back east, and that's my first game ever. I don't think I could have picked a better game to be at.
No, I don't think you could have. I was not at that game, so that is definitely not mine.
Yours would be like
younger. Yeah, I guess it's like different, like as a fan and playing, right? Which one is your favorite? When I was younger, I didn't get the chance to go to like the big games. Like it was very much like, I got to go to UT Martin. I got to go to Western Kentucky, like that kind of stuff. So they weren't necessarily memorable. Once I got a little older, I was able to go to SEC Championship in 2004, the SEC Championship in 2007.
Yep.
And I would pick those, but we lost. So I would have to say, as a spectator and fan, my favorite game is 2016 Florida.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
I mean, it has to be. There's no way I can pick anything else above it. We broke the streak. It was right after I got done playing. I missed out on the validation of actually being on the field, but it was as close as you can get. So
I remember Butch afterwards. He's like, this is just special. He's like, we got former players. He's like, we got Kyler Kerberson down, and he said your name. He's like, Kyler Kerberson's down here celebrating with us and celebrate with all the guys. Like, this is a big deal for all nation. Just like politicians speaking it up.
Yeah, he's politician and speaking it up on the backs of like one of the biggest VFLs, this local Knoxville guy who's been a fan his entire life, who was a fan of Tennessee way more than he is a fan of Butch Jones. And it's like, yeah, no shit, he came down to the locker room.
Yeah, but
like you're not going to see NFL guys come down to the like they might, but they ain't going to be drunk and excited like I was, hugging every single person with tears.
You were crying. You were crying.
Yeah, I was crying my eyes out.
Because you're soft. All right, what's our first question?
Okay. So I did want to like call out some of these people for asking the question. So I'm going to try and go through the comment section of our YouTube, but that means I'm looking down and not saying anything. But okay, so one question I did write down and see from Kevin Hamilton is the Tennessee media an independent force, or are they part of the Tennessee in-house complex? So he's pretty much asking, like, do they have like power over things? Are they controlling the media? Tennessee in and of itself, head coach, AD, everyone behind the scenes are controlling the media, but the media doesn't want that to happen. It is literally just them giving the media the answers that they want to give them. They do not have to say anything to them. The media is not trying to give other teams an advantage. So a lot of times, if Jimmy Himes gets an interview with the head coach, if one of the media guys who's been here for a while gets to interview with people, he doesn't put out everything. He understands he's politicking. He's not going to put out everything that he hears, but he will put out some important stuff and some stuff that maybe has some weight. But nobody's getting the full truth. People would ask me this after I got done playing, or literally my last year, like, when Butch is like doing this, like coach speak and like, talking to the media, like, when he does say stuff about injuries, but then the guy doesn't play, like, what's going on? Like, why isn't that the set? And I would tell him every time, y'all, he's not going to tell you the truth. He's going to lie to you. If you can hear the information, so can everyone else. And why in the heck would he tell every other team we're playing who's injured? Like, you got to keep that stuff in house, keep it secret. So you have to take every single interview with a grain of salt. Like, are you kidding me? How many of the things that I've said on this podcast that you fans have listened to that you never heard before? Well, I mean, I could have said them when I was there and playing and getting interviewed. I got interviewed almost every day, but I didn't. I waited because at that time it was detrimental to us. Right now, it doesn't matter.
Because you were scared of little.
I was scared of Butch Jones.
No, I'm kidding. Yeah, I saw that question. I'm glad you caught that one and brought it up. And I haven't answered all the ones from this past. We try to go on there and answer or comment. So I'm going to go on and try to comment to other people's comments. But yeah, that was a good question. Like, these media people, I'm not going to say they're puppets, but like they're not going to bite the hand that feeds them. I mean, if they go over there and do something stupid and the athletic director or Coach Heupel or someone else doesn't want them there, they're not going to be there. They already have very limited access anyways. Mm-hmm. So they're not going to ruin instead of being there for, 7 periods or 8 periods, they're not going to ruin that. I mean, they just get told what they get told. Now, maybe they see something they can report on, like this guy was not at practice, or like we did not see him during the time we were there. A lot of that's for the media. And then some of the recruiting guys, I mean, those guys are just always going out and trying to talk to the recruits, trying to chase them down, seeing what they hear, giving feedback if they're talking to family members of recruits or coaches of recruits. So like that's maybe a little bit different. But yeah, if it's coming from UT, like it's always going to be what the coach and what the athletic director wants. And like, it's stupid to think anything else because, I guarantee, I mean, we've probably been as honest as anybody could because we're smaller and like, they probably don't even know like what we're even talking about on the thing. But like, I guarantee.
They have no idea. They have no idea.
I know, but I guarantee if like a coach saw what we report after we go to practice and they're like, hey, like, you guys like not talk about this, then we probably A, we wouldn't, and B, we probably wouldn't be asked to come back to practice.
Exactly. I do not want my practice credentials taken away from me.
Right.
Let me see if I can find another one. Oh, here was a good one. Kyle Slaughter. So his question is, did the team have to walk around on pins and needles with the worry that Butch was going to flip the F out at any moment? He just seemed like one of those guys that went 0 to 100 and lost it. Yes, is the answer to that. In a way that like when you're in high school or peewee or middle school football, your coach almost seems higher than anything else. Like he seems elevated. Like he's even more important than your parents in a way. When you're in college, he is important and he is an authority figure. But at the same time, it does get to a point where you're like, well, I mean, he's being ridiculous. Like I really didn't do anything. There was no issue. And he can't really do much to me. I mean, unless you're skipping class, smoking weed, getting in trouble outside of football, they can't kick you off the team or take away your scholarship. So really just like do what you're supposed to and you'll be fine. But it was definitely like that. You did not want your name on a loudspeaker at practice. Like that was not what you wanted. You didn't want him looking at you, paying attention to you. And, I don't know what your time was like at Memphis, but you could say that about Pemberton, our first 2 years at Knoxville Catholic. Like he was a guy it was scary. Like you don't want to be on the wrong side of him. So sometimes I do think it's very good to have a head coach like that where you won't mess up because he's holding you accountable. You don't want that wrath.
I'm glad you brought up Pemberton because I think once Pemberton left Catholic, that's why we weren't as good. I mean, it's just he's a great coach. I mean, he ran a great program. He was good on game days. He was a hell of an offensive play caller for his wing tee. And we all had I think it was the best kind of scared respect for him because he was like Coach Pemberton wasn't a dick. Like he wouldn't like
your respect. That's the big one.
Yeah, like he didn't demean people. Like he wouldn't look and be like, "Hey, Reed, like what the f- you doing? Like you got to step inside this way and be this." He's like, you suck. Like what are you doing? Like he wouldn't do that. He would just be like, "Hey, this is what we need." And like he would get fired up, but when he'd get fired up, it was more like to the team. I don't really ever remember him getting super fired up to individuals. I mean, I think the only time I ever remember is I think some scout team player like wasn't paying attention and like almost like ran into Harrison's like knees or like maybe ran into like somebody and he was like, all right, what are we doing? Like, pay attention. But
I got yelled at by Pemberton one time.
Did you? For what?
He put in a jumbo package ahead of a playoff game, and I was to be the extra offensive lineman.
Oh, yeah, I remember.
And that day in gym class, I was playing basketball with some other guys, and literally was like running towards the ball and bending down while running to pick it up, and literally just got like a back spasm in my low back, just locked up on me. And I like couldn't move. It killed. So it was literally that day in practice, he's integrating this thing so that I would play. And he was furious. Like, you're playing freaking basketball. Like, you don't care enough about this. And that was like a low point for Kyler because I had other guys. Look, I mean, this is honest truth. Sophomore year, I did not start for varsity, but I had probably 5 or 6 other guys in my grade that started. So it looked like what a waste of size and talent this guy is that he can't start on varsity. So that all into it, it's playoffs, we're undefeated, and I finally get a chance and I squander it by playing some basketball in gym class. It's fine. Everything worked out, but it was definitely like, I remember sitting there at practice in sweats because it's cold as crap outside in, November, and just being like, I'm an idiot. Like, what a piece of shit I am. Like, I'm the worst.
Did he say something to you like in his office?
No, he yelled at me out in the field. Like, he wanted to make an example of like, this is why we don't play basketball.
Would you? Okay, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, granted, like I just mean like we respected him and like it was a good fear. It wasn't like he wasn't a piece of he wasn't a piece of garbage at all. He would love up on people like after, and like I just always thought he was a really good. I mean, I loved him. I thought he was a great coach. I remember for one time, Tyler, our buddy Tyler Williamson and it was maybe our sophomore year. So all I played was special teams, but I mean, I was proud of that. I mean, at Catholic, we were awesome. And so I played special teams, and Tyler was playing special teams, and he was like our nickel that they would bring in for that package. And so he was playing, and we were arguing about something stupid. Like, I swear, I think we were arguing about NFL or like college football or something so stupid. And he and I just kept going back and forth. And Pemberton like yelled at us to like cut it out in film. And for whatever reason, someone's like Tyler said something or I said something and we said it again. And he steps up. He's like, he just goes, "You two," after film. He's like, "Plate pushes on the field." And I was just like, oh no. And he's the one, he didn't send another coach to do our punishment. He came out there, but like he crushed us pretty good. But he was like, "Guys, like you two are like two of our, better up and coming players, like we need you guys to lock in." Like, like he wore us out. But then after he wore us out, he was like, "Hey, like, this is why I did this and stuff." But other than that, like the last thing I'll say, he was that perfect amount of like respect. But then like, if he said something to you, it was like you said, it was like, "Oh my gosh," like it just made my day. I kid you not. I was walking in to school or walking into a class or something. So it was like, I was like one of the only people in the hallway, and he was sitting over on the bench with Coach Toller and with Officer Rada, the police officer, that bench right there outside of the gymnasium. So I was like walking in the main door going, And I was like, hey, coach, like, and I said, hey, to all three of them. And he goes, hey, and he goes, nice. And it was the Monday after we played Austin East in the playoffs. He's like, you got away with one on Friday night, didn't you? And I was like, wait, what do you mean? He's like, I saw you get the 2 blocks on punt. Luke Smith was punting out of our end zone. So I was like, it was playoffs. Like I was panicking. I was like, dude, I can't give. And I was like the second man. So I was like, I can't give up a block punt. And they were bringing 2 guys in our thing. So, and I'm like, all right, like, we can't get this punt block. Like, what do you do? So I go up, I have a good block on the first guy. And I see the second one and I extend a little bit and I just get like the old, like veteran move. I grab, and when I grab, I don't hold, but I get a grab tug. And so it pulls the guy and Luke ends up booming the punt. And so anyways, he's like, you
that would have been a safety if you.
He was like, you got away with the one on Friday night, didn't you? And I said, yeah. I was like, I wasn't giving up. I said I wasn't giving up a block. I was like, if they caught me for a safety, they caught me for a safety, but I wasn't giving up a touchdown. He goes, no. He goes, it was a hell of a block. He's like, great play or something. And I kid you not, like that, like not only made my day, that like made my week. Cause like I was a sophomore.
Yeah.
Like
dude.
I was like, I mean, it was.
You were like, literally that happened. And I guarantee you're just like, dude, I'm going to start next year.
I mean, it was just so cool though that he said that. And like that, those are the little moments that like, that's why he wasn't a dick. Like a dick coach would have been like, what are you doing, Bacon? You late to class? Like trying to make a joke. But like, he was like, he was a good dude. Anyways, next question.
Yes. I love that. I could tell even more high school stories, honestly, if we had more time. Okay, here's another one that I thought was good. Pat Johnson said, Kyler, how underrated do you think Zach Rogers was? And do you think he was the fastest wide receiver on the team? As a fellow white boy, he was my favorite at the time. LOL. Great pod, fellas. Pat, I appreciate your question. It's actually very funny. I work for Rogers Build right now in Nashville, Tennessee, who is a Austin Rogers, Zach Rogers' older brother and former wide receiver at Tennessee, the owner of, which we do custom home builds. So I am actually close with the Rogers family. And yes, Zach Rogers was severely underrated. I mean, he's got stiff competition for speed at that time with Justin Hunter and Cordero Patterson. Even Devin Young in like a quick 40 or 60 meter was very fast. But I would definitely say Zach was up there. Zach was one of the fastest guys on the team. Very underrated. And man, like, talk about a consistent dude that Tyler Bray can rely on. Like, yeah, you want to get the ball in CP's hands because he's just a freaking playmaker. And Justin Hunter can jump over anyone, literally anyone. He had a 7-foot high jump in high school. So you want to get
good?
Those. Huh? Is that good? Might be. If you want to get those guys the ball, but like if Zach would have played in a different time period, I think he would have stood out even more. And Austin and him still have arguments about who's faster. And Zach is always like, hey, you might be bigger and stronger, but you ain't catching me. And it was always a competition between him. And I've learned this now being a part of Rogers Build is like Austin came through high school and like set some records in track and football. And then Zach came through and like broke most of them. So it's just like a little brother kind of taken away from the big brother. But yes, Zach Rogers, definitely underrated.
Yeah, first off, I don't know why Austin's saying anything to Zach about speed I don't even think, as a fan watching and remembering, I don't think that's even a competition. But I will say,
maybe once they got to college and high school, it was done. By that time, like it was decided who was faster. But like growing up as kids, it was back and forth. And Austin being, 3 years older,
right?
It's like,
well, I never confirmed that. I've never met Zach. I've never talked to him, but I always gain respect from him by assuming one thing. And what it was is I was in the stadium when we were playing LSU that year that they came in and they were number one. And so I was in the student section, and it's trips to the side that I was on. And you had Cordell Patterson and maybe Justin Hunter, or maybe it was Derrick Rogers and Justin Hunter. I forget who it was because I know CP and Derrick weren't on the team. But I remember Zach talking to one of them in their ear like he was telling them what to do. Then he goes to the other receiver, tells them what to do, and then he goes and lines up. And I was like, that is the most like typical white guy receiver thing. Like, he's smart, he knows what everyone's supposed to do, heady player, all the cliche things. But I was like, that has to be so annoying and so frustrating to like do that, because like they're the ones that are going to get all the shine, or they're the ones that are going to get more targets and more this, that, and the other. But he's
telling them the route to run so they get the ball.
Correct. And ever since I saw that, I was like, just mad respect for him for doing that and being such a good teammate.
Oh, for sure.
All right, next question.
Next, let me look through these comments section, see if I can find the ones, because I want to be able to shout out people's handles and their names and just let them know that we appreciate it. I did like this one from Daddy Trey. Drinking game idea: take a sip every time Reed touches his hair.
Oh, incredible.
I mean, I'm talking about hammered. Reed.
Yeah, you be crashed.
Oh, that's incredible. Let's see. I didn't write them down. Another one that I did see was, what did people like? What did you think about the brick by brick that that Coach Jones would say? And I'm sorry that I can't find it right now to shout out the actual person who asked. Well, dude, yeah, it got to a point. You know what I mean? Like, at first starting, you're like, I don't even understand this. And then he gave each one of us a brick with our name on it. Yeah.
When was it?
And we had it like put it above our lockers and, just like building blocks. And then he had the commercial with like State Farm that was brick by brick.
Yes.
And he's like building the mailbox. And then downstairs in our complex, literally the door that we walk through to get inside, the fucking mailbox is sitting there like from the TV shoot. And it's just like, all right, this is ridiculous at this point. Like, can we please stop?
Wait, where did he put the mailbox?
So there was like a loading dock area. There's a loading dock area below the complex, just in case we need things. And that was where everybody walked in, because that was the closest parking spot and closest to the locker room. And it was literally just sitting down there in a loading dock for months. And it was right when the commercial was coming out. And it's just like, God, I mean, how cliche can we be? We have a State Farm commercial now about brick by brick, and the freaking thing sitting right here, like trying to act like that was somebody's mailbox. They're building. So it got old fast.
You know me. I don't like Butch. But I will say, I did slightly think the commercial when he first took the job was kind of hype. when he's like, they said it's too far of an uphill climb. They said that they can't get back to prominence. They can't, they said that they'll never be what they were. And then he was like, and I said, when can I start? But it was like it was kind of cool because of how they did it, the music, the lighting, and all that stuff. And I was like, yeah, you can start. If you want to be here, we want you. And then I watched like 5 of his games. I'm like, this guy sucks.
Listen, like anybody else, you buy in. So even if you're a player, you buy in to start with, and it takes some time to really get to the point where you're out of sorts. But I think that goes back to like the respect question of the pins and needles, like being around Butch Jones. It's like, yeah, he would go off and from 0 to 100 for sure. But I mean, if he's lying to you about these motivational things and he's coming up with this cheesy stuff, it's like, how much respect do I have behind those outbursts?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like where you're at.
Hey, so hold on. I found one. Ball Guy 23. Ball Guy 20. Fan question. What do y'all do for work and do you use your degrees for it? I just now saw that again. I loved when I first saw that the first time. And I did reply telling him that we would answer it. Well, first off, you've already said what you did.
Yes. And my degree is in sports management. So no, I do not use my degree. I work in construction. That has nothing to do with it.
So, well, yeah, you work in construction, but you're a project manager. You're not out there.
Yes,
like
I'm a project manager. So I oversee
like
the home being built, the renovation happening. I call all the subs. I plan. I schedule. That is what I am doing.
So that is some management.
It's definitely management. This is my first management job. I was a general manager at D1 Knoxville, so I've definitely managed before. But there's managing. I don't know about sports managing, but there is managing.
Yeah. Needless to say, Rogersville might be a little bit better ran than D1 Knoxville. That's a little inside joke between Kyler and I. So anyways, and you got your master's, which people may not know, but you got your master's, I guess, your last year at UT.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you wanted to play in the NFL. You played in the NFL a little bit, and then the Canadian League, and then you came back and, you've been doing some different stuff, but you're doing Rogers Build, and then, obviously doing this because maybe one day Kyler wants to see his big pretty face on TV or doing media.
Yeah, man.
So for me, I got a degree from UT. I think somebody on here thought that I graduated from Memphis and was just a UT fan. I just went to Memphis for a year to play football. And when I said, hey, we just went 1-11, like, I think our coach is, so they had just hired Larry Porter. He was the nation's top recruiter when he was at LSU. He was a Memphis guy. He's a Memphis running back. So I'm like, dude, this guy's going to be here at least 3 years, but he was so terrible. They blew him out after 2 years. So if I had known that Justin Fuente was coming in, I may have stayed, but I couldn't stand Coach Porter. He was horrendous. So I came back and graduated from UT. I graduated with a degree in political science and a minor in communication, all because I wanted to go to law school. I did take some summer law classes at LMU, Lincoln Memorial, before I got a job offer. And I was with a company for 6.5 years, and it was all it was staffing for logistics personnel. And now I'm with a new company as of February, and it's still staffing. So, I mean,
Reed's in HR.
No, I'm not. Well, I mean, I used to do some HR for my last position. I don't do as much HR stuff now, but I use my communications degree. But let's be honest, unless you're a doctor or going to be,
if you're
you can pretty much
doctor, engineer, lawyer. That's it. That's all you need the schooling for. Everything else, you honestly don't even have to go to college. You just got to have your shit together and can talk to people, and you can make it. Yeah,
but being an attorney, you can get a math degree and go to law school. Like, you don't have to.
No, but you need law school is what I'm saying.
Right.
You need the schooling. Everything else, it's like you don't actually need the schooling. You just got to be organized, put together, know how to do your shit, and personable.
Yeah, and I tell people all the time, like, I didn't get good grades in high school because I was just being a clown. That's what I'm good at doing, but it was
like in
so funny.
biology.
People who think college is hard, like, I'm not saying it can't be hard if you're taking difficult courses like engineering or whatever the other things may be. But like, if you just go and take political science and communications, or at least I can speak on those two because I took them. And listen, I paid my way through college with student loans and then work to pay. And then I played college football for a year, so I knew how it was to be a college or a student athlete. I knew what it was like to work through. The school itself is still super, super easy. If you just show up and just halfway try, like, you should easily pass college.
Literally show up, introduce yourself to the teacher, and that's it. Like, you'll get some stuff from showing up. You'll pick up something. Study for the test, you're good. I mean, if people can get drunk every day and still graduate college, then it's not that hard. Like, it used to blow my mind. People like, oh yeah, I'm going out on Tuesday. It's like, what? Like, I have full padded practice tomorrow. Like,
yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. All right. Well, we're right at the 50-minute mark. I don't know if there's another one that you want to answer. We can continue answering more next week, but that's just kind of this one's just
I think that was good. There was I think one other that was about like Coach Pitt at Arkansas. So, I mean, that doesn't have to do with Tennessee at all, but he is a very good coach. I very much enjoyed him as an offensive line coach. Coach Jones did not bring him on because he had no idea who he was. It was, when Dooley got fired was when Coach Pitt got fired. But guys wanted Coach Pitt, like the older guys, Juwan James, Zach Fulton, James Stone, they asked if Coach Pitt could stay. So that just tells you kind of the coach he is. But I am not surprised he is having success in Arkansas at all.
Yeah, you said that. I mean, you've said it on the podcast before. You've said it a bunch. You knew that he was going to be successful there because of how he is.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, I thought that was a great pod. I thought there were some good stories in there, even if sometimes we did not talk about Tennessee. You guys got to know us a little better. Appreciate you guys watching and listening. The best. If you are watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe, like, notification bell. If you're listening on any of the podcast platforms, rate and review. It helps us so much. Follow us on social media at Believe in Tennessee for our main account on Twitter, at rbacon26 for Reed, at Kyler Curbison, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of them the same. And please leave comments. Please reach out to us on those social medias and ask questions. This is so much fun to us. Like, getting to answer you guys' questions is awesome. So please keep doing that. And just always appreciate you guys. As always, go Vols.